In this video, we're going to be looking at the hammer pattern. So this is an example of the hammer pattern. As you can see here, this is the hammer. Now, if a hammer is formed after an extended downward move, the traders believe it signifies a possible reversal or temporary pullback to the upside. Okay, so this is a hammer, and it's usually found on after a downward move. So when it's found after a downward move, traders believe the market will pull back or go the opposite way. So a hammer has a long lower wick, which is 2 to 3 times longer than the body, and has little to no upper wicks. So it has little to no upper wicks, but has lower wicks, which is 2 to 3 times the size of the body. It can be more than 2 to 3 times. Some are very much up to 5 times the size of the body. Okay, so this is just an example of a hammer. Now for the inverted hammer, if an inverted hammer is formed after an extended downward move, the traders believe it signifies a possible reversal or pullback to the upside. An inverted hammer has a longer upper wick, which is 2 to 3 times longer than the body, and has little to no lower wicks. So this is an inverted hammer. So both the hammer and the inverted hammers are usually taken more seriously when they are found at the low of the market. That's after a downtrend. So it can be hammer. So the colors do not matter in this case. The colors do not matter. It could be red, it could be green, whatever the color. It could be red, it could be green. As far as it's found on the lower side of the market, you consider it as a hammer or an inverted hammer, and therefore we take note for a move to the upside. All of them are found on the lower side, so we don't take them seriously when we find them on the upper side, even though we'll come to the ones we take seriously, which are the what do we call them again? Which are the hanging man and shooting star patterns, but we'll look at them later on. Now, this is an example of a hammer. As you can see, this is an example of a hammer, or rather an inverted hammer. Okay, an inverted hammer. This is an example of an inverted hammer. As you can see, the wicks are more than 2 times the size of the body. So the upper wicks are more than 2 times the size of the body, and the lower wick is very small. This is an inverted hammer. This is also an inverted hammer, but it's found here. So we're going to look at the hanging man later on. But just for you to know, okay, this is an example of a hammer, even though the lower wick is a little bit extended, but we see this as an inverted hammer. This is an inverted hammer, and we have to move up. Okay. This is more of a hammer, and we have to move up. Remember, these things do not play out very perfectly. They don't play out very perfectly, so you just understand how to identify them. And now this is an inverted hammer. This is an inverted hammer. As you can see, it's an inverted hammer, and we have to move up. So these things are very powerful, guys. This is very powerful. You don't want to be ignoring these things. This is a hammer. This is a hammer, and we have to move. So you have to be very, very careful with these. These are price action. So once you can take note of price action, read price action, and observe price action very well. When I started out, I actually had to print out these things and place on my walls so that I know them very well. So that I know them very well. So it's very important to take note of these things. Yeah, so this has brought us to the end of our lecture on hammer and inverted hammer. Now, this is a perfect example. As you can see, it has no lower wick. This is a perfect example of an inverted hammer. Okay, as you can see. Yeah, so that will be it. And in the next lecture, the next and final lecture, we'll be learning about the hanging man and the shooting star patterns. Okay, the hanging man and the shooting star patterns. So, hope to see you in the next. Bye.